Celebrating 41 seasons on the air, Farm Week is a production of Mississippi State University Extension.
Today on Farm Week, I hope you're hungry because this show is all about food. One Mississippi farmer is growing a different type of crop. We're talking turmeric to find out what it is, how it's grown, and how incorporating it into your diet can make a big difference. And have you ever wondered what a food scientist does? We'll have the answer and hear some of the research that's being done to keep your family and community healthy. Plus, these firefighters are doing more than just keeping you safe. They're also amateur farmers. Learn what inspired them to start a vegetable garden right outside the fire station. Finally, this woman is using sustainable agriculture to provide healthy food options for her friends and neighbors. See how farming the right commodities is growing her customer network every day. A special Farm Week starts right now. Hello everyone, I'm Troy Moling. Thanks for joining us here on Farm Week. It's a special edition of today's show, one of my favorite topics. We're talking all about food. And we're going to begin our broadcast by talking about changes in the food industry. Just go to the grocery store, go online, or go outside on your own farm, and you'll notice people's palates aren't what they used to be. I spoke with two experts to get their take on what's behind this new food revolution. Fresh. Organic. Simple. At the farm, at a restaurant, or when packing a school lunch, now more than ever, the way we think about food is changing. The last several years have ushered in a renewed interest in where our food is coming from and what we're putting into our bodies.
I think people are kind of getting tired of what we consider typical processed foods.
Dr. Christine Light-Cord says the type of food many people ate while growing up just isn't as popular anymore.
Across the food industry, I'm hearing about things like wanting fresh foods, less processed, real ingredients.
Simply put, the days of using food to fill our bellies appears to be slowing down.
Well, a lot of people say, the heart of the home is in the kitchen.
Dr. Courtney Christ agrees. Consumers are using food as a way to connect with friends, build relationships, and experience life.
I would say probably a lot of my best times were over food, so I think that's just the culture now. People really want to have that connection to the food and be able to make something that they're proud of or eat something that they're proud of.
Generational shifts are helping to drive new food industry trends. Millennials are buying more food and want to eat things that are local, high in quality, and fun.
They're more willing to experiment. They like new flavors, and that's why the palates are changing.
Technology also plays a major role in helping people discover new foods and where to find them. I gotta Instagram this.
Last night I saw a friend post on Facebook that she found a rice seasoning from Japan on Amazon and was so excited to put it on her popcorn because she heard about that on TV. I mean, we're getting technology influencing the way we eat and the way that we can access things from all over the world just at our fingertips on our computer.
That hunger for information is causing the food industry to reevaluate what they offer to the public.
It's forcing the industry to become more transparent, and I think a transparency within the industry is going to continue to be a trend for consumers and providing the information that consumers really want.
And one food that looks to improve health and lifespan is turmeric. Studies have shown that eating turmeric is healthy and can also make you feel better. We traveled to one farm that's helping introduce the crop to a whole new audience.
Man, that's really slick.
It may not look like much right now, but this field is home to a crop that could soon revolutionize the food and healthcare industry. It's called turmeric. You may not have heard of it, but it isn't anything new. In fact, some countries have been raising the root for centuries.
think this is probably one that you would see out of Asia as a spice. This is probably something that you have seen in Indian foods or in Thai foods.
Now it's making its way to the United States. At Old Brook Organics in Brookhaven, Mississippi, farmer Jesse Bowie is getting in on the ground floor of what he thinks will be the next big trend.
If you look at the literature, it's the new thing. And because of the nutritional value of it, people just they'll just sprinkle it on whatever they are doing. But a lot of people do specific things. They make teas out of it. They put it on salads and things like that. But I think all this is driven by the fact that many people now are getting away from wanting to take a lot of medication.
Studies on turmeric have shown its use can help high cholesterol, arthritis, and a multitude of other ailments.
There are probably a few decades of research that show its anti-tumor properties and many of the other medicinal properties that it has. And I think maybe culturally in the United States we're just catching up with it, whereas a lot of other cultures have used it for many hundreds of years, if not thousands of years.
Bowie got his first turmeric seeds from California, an idea that turned a few heads at the time.
I decided to grow it because they told me I couldn't grow it. They immediately said you cannot grow it in Mississippi because it takes 9 months to grow. And therefore we plant in March, and normally by September or October you're going to have a frost. Well, whenever you have a frost, that's the end of the ball game. But for the last 2 years, as you know, we've had a long season and we've been very successful with the crop.
Now he's preparing for spring planting with the hope that 2017 will see the biggest turmeric boom yet.
Going forward, what we're going to do, we have it in a high tunnel. And what the high tunnel does is enables us to extend our growing season. So when November, December comes, if a frost hits, it won't destroy our plants.
Still ahead on Farm Week, Fun with Food continues.
So we decided that we would start growing some tomatoes and some peppers, things that we like, on our own. It's been good to us so far.
See how this group of firefighters got started in what some may call an unlikely hobby, vegetable gardening. Hear what they grow and learn how these farming firemen have got the community talking.
They say this is the information age, where people can instantly find any answers they're looking for. Yet so many of us still can't figure out how to feel better. Well, here's a suggestion: eat better. And what better place than a Mississippi farmers market to help you do just that? Locally grown fruits and vegetables are healthy, picked at the peak of quality and freshness to help you feel better.
Our next story just goes to show that no matter your background, if you want to grow your own food, all it takes is a little research and a little patience. I had a lot of fun doing a story with these guys. They're using the downtime at their job to take up farming by trading in their fire hose for a watering hose. At first glance, it looks like your typical fire station. Shiny red trucks, coats neatly hung, the safety equipment at the ready, a vegetable garden. Wait, what was the last one?
We have about maybe a dozen or so tomato plants and about 6 pepper plants, banana peppers, 1 hot jalapeno.
Earlier this year, the firefighters at Tupelo Station number 3 had a plan to build camaraderie and eat fresh. So they decided to take matters into their own hands by putting those hands in the dirt.
And we were looking for fresh produce to cook and eat. Well, we couldn't find it. We didn't have time to go to the local farmer's market. So we decided that we would start growing some tomatoes and some peppers, things that we like, on our own. It's been good to us so far.
Captain Bridges and the guys on his shift have taken the lead with the gardening project, but 6 other firefighters on the remaining shifts pitch in too, with watering and weed control. It's been a rewarding time, but not without challenges that any novice can relate to.
One of the problems we had was we didn't have any rain, then we got a lot of rain, which made the tomatoes bust. And that was one of the biggest questions that people would come and ask us: why is the tomatoes busting so much? And to be honest with you, I didn't know. We had to research it and kind of find out, you know, so it was a learning experience for everybody.
That research has also led to an unexpected hobby that would make Grandma proud.
I think all of us as grandparents and mothers and fathers had always canned stuff over the years, but you really don't pay attention to it till you don't have that anymore. So we've been trying to learn a little bit about the art of canning and pickling and jellies, jams. We've narrowed it down to a small thing where we're learning and can put stuff together. So actually that process of it I've liked more than any of it. Tupelo
has 7 fire stations, and the garden at number 3 is the only one in town. People around the community have begun to take notice.
This particular side of town, a lot of people have lived here all their lives, generations. We have people come by, they look at our garden, they ask us about our garden. We're in the grocery store and in different places like that. As long as I've been here, we've had a group of men that play dominoes here on occasion. And I think those men try to tend to it when they come up here, because most of the time they'll come late in the afternoons, and every single one of them will walk through that garden and they love it.
And while they're becoming gardening gurus, the guys hope the only fire they'll be fighting will come from eating too many jalapenos.
I know one of the guys on the other shift, there's not a lot of jalapeno eaters, especially hot ones, but he loves them. I mean, he absolutely loves them. And he puts a hurting on them.
Coming up next, meet some people who have made their love of food a lifelong career.
And I think what we are doing in the United States now is trying to look at how we can not only sustain life, but improve function and improve performance of the human system through food.
Learn what a food scientist does and what they're doing to get people to live longer and eat healthier.
Why farmers markets? Why come here?
Well, there's no doubt it tastes better, and heck, it's better for you too.
Hooray, cantaloupe! Everywhere you look is great food, healthy food.
It's just a healthier choice, and we like that it supports our community.
The reason I come is because you just can't find this quality anywhere else.
Hooray, farmers market!
Get this, the average person will eat over 1,000 meals during a typical year. Regardless if the meal is big or small, there are the unseen groups responsible for getting the food into your hands. And it's the role of the food scientist that's responsible for working with farmers and the food industry to ensure the nation's food supply is healthy, safe, and running smoothly.
We really take the art of preparing food and put the science behind it.
It runs the gamut from really food safety to trying to figure out ways to have a healthier food supply and working with industry to develop tastier foods.
Food isn't simple. The farmers who grow it know it, the chefs who prepare it know it, and the food scientists who study it know it. Dr. Will Evans heads up Mississippi State University's Department of Food Science, Nutrition, and Health Promotion. For the people in his department, it's crucial to possess an expert knowledge of all levels of food production.
In our department, we have 3 types of scientists. We have food scientists, we have nutrition dietitians, and we have health scientists. And in the case of the food scientists, a lot of what they do is related to food safety and related to the taste of foods.
Food scientists may work with food industry personnel in laboratory settings or work to prevent bacteria from entering the food supply. In the case of Dr. Christine Like-Cord, they may advise farmers on proper food practices.
I'm a meat scientist by training. As a meat scientist, we say that we work with animals from conception to consumption. In the food industry as a whole, it's very similar. You're going all the way from farm to fork. And so we work with every step of the process to help ensure a lot of things. We'll do things like look at different ingredients that we can use, different processing techniques, even when's the best time to harvest an animal to ensure meat quality or get the most bang for your buck out of something.
As the food industry becomes more transparent, food scientists are faced with a changing landscape. Consumers can get information from anywhere, and researchers must make sense of it all or help allay fears. For example, we've all heard the debate over the pros and cons of GMOs.
I think we will see a continued interest in genetically modified foods. We spliced plants for generations, and now that we can modify them under the microscope, it seems like that raises a concern, but it really is no different. Now, I think people will still be concerned if they have a plant that can tolerate 10 times the pesticide, for instance, and I can understand that. But if it comes to saving a species of a plant that's a major food crop for a part of the world, I believe we should stress the importance and the safety of that sort of thing.
Perhaps the biggest problem researchers face will be issues regarding food waste and what consumers can do to help combat it. Studies show 30 to 40% of food in the United States is wasted. The USDA is calling for a 50% reduction in that number by the year 2030. One thing food scientists are trying to do is help consumers develop a better understanding of food labeling.
The expiration dates that you see on your food don't necessarily mean that that product is no longer safe. A lot of times this is a fairly conservative measure of a quality expiration date. Maybe that product starts to decrease a little bit in quality at that point in time.
Regardless of your next meal, Dr. Evans and his team know that making a lasting change begins with helping people understand what they're putting into their bodies and learning how to make proper dietary choices.
We have health scientists that are working on outreach and social science projects to try and increase the knowledge and awareness around how to live and lifestyle and diet to prevent diabetes, to combat obesity in the state of Mississippi. You know, one of the things we know about Mississippi, for instance, is we're #1 in physical inactivity. So we have efforts going now to promote physical activity and try to get people more active.
Dr. Courtney Christ works with Mississippi State Extension as a food safety specialist. She lends her expertise in food safety, home preservation, and cooking practices. Her goal is the research she's doing makes some headway in Mississippi.
Home food preservation is actually a good opportunity to not only preserve products that you have grown in your garden, but also if you have bought extra of we'll say strawberries, you can actually make that into jam, you could freeze it. So I'm developing a food safety program kind of for the calendar year. So every week there's going to be a topic, food safety. I'm going to talk about the sell by, best if used by, best by concept, talking about farmers market safety. A lot of people enjoy shopping at the farmers market, and we just want to make sure that food is safe from farm to farmers market to home.
The hope is that with enough education and enough commitment, Mississippi can rise in the rankings when it comes to eating better and living healthier.
There was a paper that came out a year or so ago, and the title of it was "You Can't Outrun a Bad Diet." But we do have to accept people where they are, and we have to get them to make minor sustainable changes first. It includes setting small incremental goals where if they don't walk at all, for instance, can we get them to walk to the mailbox and back 3 times? Or can we get them to take the stairs instead of the elevator? Can we encourage them to park a little further away from the Walmart and not just circle the parking lot until they find the closest parking space? And so it begins with getting them to make very small changes where they can see some actual benefit from that, and then gradually ramp that up as you go.
Coming up after the break,
Chickens.
this farmer saw an opening in the marketplace and decided to take the bull by the horns. Or maybe she took the chicken by the feathers.
They don't want your typical meat bird that's a Cornish cross. They want a bird that's been up and running.
Now she has a network of customers that come from all over to buy a variety of goods. Her story is up next.
You know what, Daddy? I think these may be the best tomatoes we've ever grown.
I think you're right. Hey, I bet we sell all of them before lunch.
Man, look at that. Let me get 4 boxes. So, how was everything? Did you enjoy those stuffed tomatoes?
It's delicious. Are these locally grown?
Yep, I picked them up at the farmer's market this morning.
You may have heard the term sustainable farming, but do you know what it is? A well-run sustainable farm will provide healthy food, respect the environment, and provide a quality of life for the farmers and the community. Farmweek went on the road to visit one sustainable farm to see how its owner is embracing those practices and sharing her knowledge. A metamorphosis is occurring on farms across America. The days of getting our food primarily from large farming operations is giving way to a new type of agriculture rooted in maximum productivity and environmental consciousness. Included in that transformation is Levy Run Farm in Greenwood, Mississippi. It's nestled in an unassuming neighborhood, but get closer and you'll see the tenets of sustainable agriculture are alive and well here.
I think of sustainability in terms of water conservation and improving the land, and we've been doing that for about 10 years. I have a couple of water collection systems. I use pastured poultry to improve the fertility of my land, and I also have an NRCS high tunnel, which I'm very proud of.
You may remember Leanne's appearance on Farmweek several years ago. The effects of the West Nile virus has necessitated the use of a wheelchair, but it hasn't diminished her love for farming and the outdoors. Levy Run Farm has become renowned in the community and local farmers markets for the food it offers: herbs, greens, veggies, and pastured poultry of all kinds.
I have a very diverse group of customers who stop by for eggs and chickens. That's why I went into this particular endeavor anyway, was because at the farmers market, the first year I went to the farmers markets, I had plants and vegetables, and everybody who walked by said, "Where are the fresh farm eggs?" You know, so I stepped up the egg production. I said, "Oh, eggs, I can figure that out."
Rachel Harvey Splaingard works with community groups and churches to demonstrate environmentally friendly planting practices. She's encouraged by the growing number of sustainable farms and organic options in the area.
I'm really thankful that Leanne is here, that she's not only a farmer but an educator, and I think it's really great that her and the Alliance provide some way for people to get exposure to different ways of relating to the earth.
Rachel works several hours a week on Levy Run Farm and has learned a lot about the local food movement and building strong food relationships. She's even developing a love for chickens.
I'm not so fond of chickens, so this sort of immersion therapy has been helpful as far as picking them up, being around them. But she's been a great resource. So for my ministry with Wesley United Methodist Church, she grew some plants for us. If she has extra equipment like hoses, tomato cages, she's happy to share those with us, and has really sort of been a mentor for my new gardening work in the Mississippi Delta.
It's a role Leanne embraces as she passes on her love of agriculture to a new generation and continues to grow in her farming network.
And I think any farmer has to do that. I mean, whether you're farming, commodity crops or whatever you're doing, you just got to keep putting the feelers out to try to make connections.
Really good advice, and thanks to her for sharing her story with us. We'll end today's show about food with what else? The food factor. And when you hear the word pickle, you probably think the spear with your deli sandwich or a topping for your hamburger. But did you know there are foods besides cucumbers that can be pickled? In this week's Food Factor segment, MSU Extension Agent Natasha Haynes tells us how we can extend the shelf life of our favorite produce and add a unique flavor twist at the same time.
Most people are familiar with cucumber pickles, but what about okra, cabbage, or even watermelon rinds? They're all pickled using the same food preservation method and can be enjoyed all year round. Pickling requires attention to detail, so it's very important to follow USDA or Extension-approved recipes very carefully to ensure the final product is safe to eat and maintains its color and quality. Pickles wouldn't be pickles, of course, without salt and vinegar, but not just any salt and vinegar will do. Use canning or pickling salt that doesn't contain iodine or non-caking material. Also, any vinegar used for pickling should be at least 5% acetic acid. Apple cider vinegar will give your pickles a milder flavor than white distilled vinegar. And remember to only use stainless steel, glass, or unchipped metal pans when heating pickling liquids to keep the salt and acid from reacting with the metal. For more recipe ideas, visit our new Food Factor Pinterest page. It's time to make healthy food a factor in your life.
Really good advice right there from Natasha. Thank you so much for joining us this week. Remember, if you missed a story, you can find past episodes of Farm Week under the Shows tab on our website. That's extension.msstate.edu. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Twitter to join in on the conversation. We'll see you next week.